One of the greatest blessings of a family is being able to have children. And yet, how do you deal with children in church? Oh, sometimes you lose the church experience because of children. Stay tuned. Hi, I'm Father Mike Manning. God bless you very much. Thank you very much for watching the show. I'm coming to you today with a desire for you to be able to understand how God is not just something up in the sky, something that was perhaps something you learned as a child, but God is actually someone who is really alive in your life right now, present to you, living with you. One of the challenges that we have, especially if we're a mother and a father with small children, is making a connection between dealing with the children and dealing with church. Sometimes, even though we want to give good examples, boom, we can be separated from the church. I'm going to be talking with a lovely young lady today, and Sarah, thank you so very much for coming and being with us. We've known each other for a good bit.
We have.
Going back from when I hitched you together in the church.
Yes, that's 8 years ago.
8 years.
Hard to imagine.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
Yes.
8 years.
8 years ago, and a lot's happened between now and then.
Well, Sarah, I usually want to try to jump into the program by relating your life to the lives of the people at home who are kind of looking at you and saying, what's going on? Could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with Christ? Were you raised as a Christian, and has it always been an important part of your life, and how has that developed?
Well, it certainly was, and myself along with my husband, we both attended Catholic schools from early on into 8th grade, and fortunately for both of us, we had parents that were really committed to not just making church an everyday part of our lives by going to attending schools, but really showing us in our homes every day what the love of Jesus is like. And with a touch of a mother or a homemade gift for a neighbor or something like that, our parents, always growing up, wanted to reach out to us and show us that being a Christian is more about just going to Mass or just attending school. It's about giving of yourself, giving of your time, giving of your talents, and giving of your treasure to people who need you, who need you to reach out to them.
It's a simple statement that you made, and yet it's really profound. There is an idea that Christianity can be just something, well, I'm going to accept Christ and I'm going to do that and I'm going to feel good about it myself.
Mm-hmm.
But that isn't the whole story. It really has to be a giving of yourself to other people. I got to love God, but I've also got to love other people. Amen to that?
I would definitely say so. And you know, in my life, I really saw as I transitioned from childhood into early adolescence, into high school, and into college, whatever new phase I went through, I really felt God planting a seed of doing something for the church.
But there must have been times of rebellion. I bet you there were times of, even times of doubt.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, I think there's always times where you doubt your faith. You know, I had a grandmother who passed away when I was in high school, and something like that really tested me and challenged me and made me really delve into my faith more deeply. And it really was a perfect time, because that was time for me in high school to be searching out what my faith is really about. And if I really felt like I was called to be Catholic. And that really helped me with that journey. Tell me
a little bit about what happened with that death of your grandmother. What was the process of dealing with that? How did you deal with that?
Well, my grandmother actually lived with us while she was dealing with her cancer. And she slept in the bedroom next to me in our downstairs home. And I was there to witness her deterioration. Wow. And to know what it's like to lose someone a little bit day in, day out.
Not just religion, but also God. There can be a confusion as to why would God allow such a thing to happen to such a special person in my life.
But you know what it really called me to do for the first time is to really be of service. And having her there, although it was really a tough time for my entire family, especially my own mother, I remember being there and serving her and feeding her strawberries and trying to get her to eat in her last days before she passed away.
Liked.
And it was really a beautiful gift for me, because I knew right then and there that I can continue this on, and I can do this in my church, and I can continue to do what God's calling me to do.
Now, let's make a jump between that experience and now that you're married to Ken.
Yes.
And now that you have children. There was a situation that arose that perhaps you found there was a need in the Catholic Church to be a little bit more attentive to a certain group of people. Would you share us what went on into this? You're going to tell us about the organization that you started. Tell us how that orientated.
Yes, what we've been finding and what we found in our home parish is we saw a lot of Catholics who were raised Catholic, who went through all the sacraments, were confirmed in the Catholic Church, and then sometimes between, I'd say, their college years and between the time they got married or had children of their own, they seemed to be falling away from church. Or they'd be attending Mass, but I would ask them, oh, you know, where do you attend church? Oh, I go to St. Matthew's, or oh, I go to St. Catherine's. And that really kind of bothered us. It really bothered me, because I really feel I don't just go to church. I feel like I belong to church.
Oh, so it's not just a plugging into it.
No.
It's more of really belonging. Okay, gotcha.
Participating.
And that's what you were bothered by, that
yes.
they were just kind of doing the obligation, if you will.
Yeah. You see the people, ourselves included, we all fall into this suit of just going through the motions and going to Mass maybe because, you know, you feel obligated to. Some people do it out of guilt. Some people do it out of the love for the sacraments, and some people really use Mass as a time to reflect on their lives, and that's obviously what it's there for. But there seemed to be a real disconnect between going to church and being a part of church. And what we have come to do at our parish is to offer a young families ministry and a mom's ministry that could really meet the needs and bring people back home, bring them back to Mass, and bring them back to a church where they feel they can participate in and they feel that they belong to.
Okay, so you see the problem. Tell me a little bit about the nuts and bolts of how you got that done.
Well, it started out with just a small group of women in our parish, and myself. I was a full-time teacher for 5 years, and then my husband and I decided that it was best for our family to stay home full-time and be a stay-at-home mom, and that was a role and a position that I really never imagined myself to be. I thought I'd be a working mom my entire life. And so when we came to this conclusion of me staying home and being a mom, there really was a sense of loneliness and a disconnect with a community. You know, when you're in the professional world, you have your colleagues and bosses and your computer, you're emailing, and you have a lot of camaraderie with people in a professional arena. But when you're at home and you have little toddlers on the ground and you're just doing the day ins and day out, there can be a sense of loneliness that comes along with that.
The other thing is that you lose kind of that adult connection, if you will.
Exactly.
The conversations are not about world affairs, but they're about
potty training.
Dr. Suits and potty training and looking at a video for the 15th time.
Yes, we've watched many of those. You know, Barney reruns. But,
yes.
And what happened was I saw a couple other women in the parish who just happened to be in the same situation that I was. I saw they had a daughter or a child that was about the same age as our infant when she was born. And I just walked right up to them and I said, introduced myself, and I said, would you ever be interested in helping us form a mom's ministry here at our parish? And that was the catalyst to get things going, because for the first time, there was a place for women to come. There was a place for us to socialize. There was a place for us to gather and really have that camaraderie, have that chance to communicate, and have that time to just be with other moms who are going through the same things that they are. And
there's also a spiritual dimension to this too. It's not just socializing, coming together.
Absolutely.
And I want to, we're going to take a break now, but I want to come back and I want to find out the nuts and bolts of just imagining if I were a bug on the wall, what would happen if, you know, you get 5 mothers together. What are some of the conversations that go on, and how has that changed their attitude towards church?
Okay.
Listen, stay tuned, would you? And we're going to be right back. Listen to this message. I am very excited to tell you that I have written a book, and I want you to be able to read it. It's a book that's called 15 Faces of God. It's a quest to know God through the parables of Jesus. I've labored with this book for a long time, and it's been a real labor of love because I feel that through this insight into the parables, we are opening up a wonderful insight into God. Now, I believe that Jesus was continually giving parables. They were ways of his getting out to many people, not just the people that went to synagogue and religious people. But parables were allowing him to get to the vast audience. And I couple that with the reality of how deeply Jesus loved his Father. We read in the Gospel of John time and again, I come to do the Father's will. And when they asked him how to pray, it wasn't, pray the name of Jesus. No, my Father. And what I've done is I've taken 15 of these marvelous parables, some maybe those that you hadn't heard too much about, and I allow us to open up the door of an understanding of who just God is. Some of the insights into God: searching, humble, giving, celebrating, loving, authentic, generous, trusting, and even optimistic. Please, for your gift and donation to the ministry of $20 or more, I would love to send you this book. And not only are the lessons there, but there's a chance for you to have deep discussions because of questions that I presented. Remember, 15 Faces of God. Sarah, you're coming into an interesting challenge of mothers who find themselves perhaps so engrossed in their children that they're really looking for something of a conversation about maybe on a different intellectual level, but also on a different faith level. Mm-hmm. If I were a bug on the wall, what would the topics be that you would talk about as you got together with maybe 4 or 5 mothers? And are the children present with you for this? That's actually a real key component to our mom's ministry, is that we offer child care during our time, and it's really the one component that makes mom's ministry work. So the kids can be taken care of, yes. But this allows the mothers to be able just to be together for a few months. To have that hour and a half just to themselves twice a month. And just okay. Focusing on their self, focusing on their children, focusing how they can be nurtured and loved and taken care of for this one moment in time. And they're recharged, they're rejuvenated, they're able to bring back from what they've learned at a mom's ministry and bring that back into their home. Just this new spirit and a new liveliness that they're able to bring back to their marriage. They're able to know that they're not alone out there, that there's other moms and other people out there that think like they do, have the same challenges they do. And that's comforting, I think, to most of our moms. Really, it's comforting to me. Yeah, yes. Yeah. What are some of the things that you bring up? How do you get the conversation going? Let's say I'm asking that because I'm thinking people at home are listening and thinking, oh, that sounds okay. But what topics would you talk about if I gathered a few of the moms from my church and got together and talked? How would you start that? That's the beauty of our Moms Ministry. We started out as 5 women, but we flourished to about 30 women that come together on a twice-a-month basis. And just our last meeting last Tuesday, we were talking about trusting the instincts and the common sense that God gives us. Sometimes we don't live in the professional world. We don't have a boss or a book or a website we can type in or go to give us an answer to the challenges that we're facing as mothers. Oh, interesting. And so you can read the books and you can go and search on the website, but really what we are coming to find out in our moms group is that God gifts us as women, and it gifts us as mothers a sense of common sense, a natural nurturing ability, and we need to trust that. We need to trust that instinct that God has given us, because no one knows our children better than we do.
And there's not a book, there's not a website, there's not any magic formula we can plug into to make a bad situation at home, fix it and make it better.
So
but
what
we
happens,
can trust ourselves.
I suppose what happens is you start doubting yourself, and you start doubting, and you're perhaps feeling guilty about things that you've said or done. And that just kind of puts you into a box, doesn't it? That doesn't allow you the freedom to be able to use your gifts to bless the children and to bless yourself.
Yes, and one of the really beautiful things about having a mom's ministry is any mother can come. That vocation of motherhood is really what unites these women. You could be a single mom, a mom who's fostered a child, adopting a baby. We have mothers who are lawyers, doctors, teachers, former professionals, and many women who also work part-time and still make an effort to come to mom's ministry. And all of those peripheral labels, they don't matter. When they walk through those doors and they're welcomed in mom's ministry, they're focused on their vocation of motherhood, and they're focused on getting that support they need. And that's what's really the beautiful thing about having something like that at a parish.
Tell me, could you give me like an example of some person, you're sharing your own experience, but was there someone that you'd look back and say, ooh, there was a real warmth and a blessing that came to this mother? Does anyone pop up in your mind as I ask you that question? Yes.
And it's actually a mother who doesn't come to mom's ministry. We have a mom in our parish who lives in an isolated area in our area, and she's not able to come to our mom's ministry. And she still wanted to be a part of it. She still wanted to connect in some way. And this mother deals with anxieties and has a lot of fears of being around crowds and groups of people. And we stopped right in our tracks and we said, how can we reach this one mom? How can we touch her? And how can we bring this love of Jesus into her home and into the lives of her children and help her and support her as she's raising her two kids? And all it took is a phone call and a drive out of town, and we brought her some materials that we've been using with our mom's ministry. We use a program called MOPS, and it's a non-denominational curriculum, if you would call it that. And we bring in a lot of other resources that we feel our women are in need of hearing and wanting to know about. And so what we did is we just made a lot of photocopies and some prayers that we were doing. We do a monthly newsletter. We made our copy of the newsletter, and we just packaged it all up and we brought it to her home, and we stay connected via email, via Facebook, and this mother feels like she's a part of our group, even though she doesn't even attend meetings.
That's beautiful.
And that's what it's all about. It's reaching that one mom out there who might feel lonely or might feel like she is disconnected from the world, but this is one way that she can grow in her faith and be encouraged as a mom.
Well, the tip of my hat to you, Sarah, for taking the courage to do that, and it seems like it's become a passion for you.
It really has, and it takes up a lot of time, but there's so many people that really are committed to making this continue on in our parish, and of course the fruits of our labor completely outnumber the time that's put into it. We have some wonderful guest speakers and other parishioners that have really come on board with us. They see something new that's happening in the parish and they want to be a part of it. You know, grandmothers and people that want to come and speak and share their own testimony about when their kids were young, or people who've been a part of mom's groups in the past and now their kids are grown and raised. They come back to our group and they share, and they're mentors. They're mentors to our moms that are going through it.
Let me ask you another question. You intimated about this before we started talking about this, of sometimes the women, young men and women of your age, a lot of people are leaving the Catholic Church, or leaving Christianity even. Could you give me a little insight from your experience as to what's going on? For example, in the Catholic Church today, you can study and you can say, oh, the number has increased, but the increase has really happened with regard to the influx of Hispanics, that have come in.
I think there's a lot of reasons that we're seeing those type of statistics these days. And amongst the community that we're a part of, we saw a lot of people for the first time in their life, they were facing some challenges, maybe in their marriage, maybe in their home life. And it seemed like our parish community didn't have the resources to help these families through these challenging times. So they went and sought help and guidance elsewhere.
So the community church offered them what they needed.
Yeah, I
and
mean,
sometimes Catholics, we can, the problem is that what we can do is, and it's kind of like this idea of just, all you got to do is go to church and go to Mass and just attend, and then it can be isolated from that. Not all churches, but there's so many where that happens. And if a church is really going to be as effective, it's going to be one that's going to care for the needs of where the people are.
Truly, truly it will. And I think the other trend that we saw is that instead of seeing what the challenge that was there and try to find a way to make it better, they would just go to another church that would fill that void or that need in their life. And that's what really sprung out of this Young Families Ministry, is that we felt that our home was with the Catholic Church and we wanted to do something about it.
Instead of running away, you said, let's make it better.
Let's dig our heels in, get some work done.
God bless you. So one last question that I want to ask you is, could you give us a little bit of an insight into how you've been able to find the joy and really the success of what it means to be a married couple? What's the secret that you and Ken have and your children in order to really make your marriage work well?
Well, I know one thing, and it's true what people say, is that it really takes an entire tribe to raise a child. And I know I can't do it on my own, and I know Ken and I can't do it on our own. And we rely on our family, his sisters, his brothers, my sisters, my brothers, our cousins, our church community, our friends. They all support us in loving our kids. And I'm not just talking about babysitting or, when we get sick coming over. We really built a tribe around our children of people that we trust and people who love them. And I think that's a success to raising our children. And for Ken and I, we've gone back and forth, but we try to do our date nights a couple times a month, and we just try to stay connected and try not.
What do you mean a date night? What is that?
It's date night in a minivan. But we just get in our car and we just go out to dinner or grab a movie, or sometimes just going and bringing a movie home and spending some time together. It really is the simple things.
When we had dinner, was that your date night?
That was date night.
All right.
Date night with Father Mike. Yes. I think the one thing that really keeps us grounded and focused on our marriage and on our children is not only our relationship with the church and our relationship with each other, but we were given some great advice long, long ago before we got married. And I hold this true many times throughout our marriage, and that's that it really is a 90-10 split all the time.
No, who would say something?
I don't know.
90-10?
I don't know who said that to me.
Something like that?
But that really helps us a lot, because it's never 50-50 in a marriage. There's never an even playing field for us to make decisions, but when someone's having a hard time or a hardship, that other person is lifting the other one up.
And it's so crazy because it doesn't make sense, because we're living in a world of gimme, 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 and yet the joy and the fruitfulness is the more I give, the greater peace I have. And that does bring about that unity that we're looking for, that peace and that togetherness that is the real marriage. Oh, God bless you.
Thank you.
We're going to make another commercial break. We're going to come back. But I got a question I want to ask you, and I want to ask also you, with the hope that you're going to be responding to this. But stay tuned. It deals with something that's a little bit controversial. Stay tuned. I am delighted to tell you that I've written a book, and I'd love for you to get it and read it and be blessed. I've worked on this book for many years, and I believe that if you read it, your relationship with God is going to grow very, very deep. It can be a blessing. It's called 15 Faces of God. What I've done is I've taken 15 of Jesus' parables and allowed those parables to be a door that opens to us through Jesus into who God the Father is. Oh, you're going to be really shocked in many ways, but also blessed by the insight of God as a searcher, as an optimist, as a lover. Please, for your gift of $20 or more, I would love to send you this powerful book. Remember, 15 Faces of God. I want you to be blessed. Sarah, one of the joys of this ministry is not just being able to talk with delightful people like yourself and then be able to share with a lot of people that experience, but it's the joy of hearing from that audience outside, not just hearing from you. And we're going to be doing something new, and I'm going to invite people to respond, if they would, through our webpage or through Facebook or through Twitter, and let me know what they think about topics that I'm going to be raising. And I'm going to throw a question at you and ask if you would give me your opinion, and then I want to know what you think. And I want you, please, all that information is down on the screen there, and I want you, please, to let me know and let others know what this thought is. And here it is. This is a topic that's in our world today, and it's a legal challenge that goes on. Should unmarried teens be required to have their parents' permission before having an abortion? What do you think? What do you think?
In my mind, I have to say yes to that question. And the only way I can explain why I'm saying yes is that at so many points in our lives, God really calls ordinary people to do extraordinary things. And if this was a situation in my home, I would just pray and hope that that child would know that they have a mother who loves them unconditionally, and that this is an important point in that teen's life, to know that this is their chance to do something extraordinary. This is their opportunity and their chance, that even though she might think she doesn't have the know-with-all to be a mother, or she feels insignificant, or she feels she can't take on this challenge, or doesn't know how to make the right decision, she can do something extraordinary, and she can make life happen, and she can make that child have an impact in this world.
I'm delighted to hear you share your view like that, but I want to know what you think too. And now, we've just got a couple moments. Would you pray with us over these people? I thank you so very much for spending your time to be willing to write to me, to phone. And please, those phone numbers are there, and there are people that really care. Even if it gets onto an answering machine, know that we're going to be getting back to you and speaking to you in person. Tell us what you're thinking. Tell us what you need. Lord, I ask you to please enter into all of these situations, the sickness, the disturbances of the mind, and even the family problems. Come with your peace and your healing. And may Jesus' love for you always make you smile.